This is strange. Is it actually working? I think we are. Good morning, Al here. Thank you so much for tuning in live or watching the replay. There are three major stressors that I see. I've actually done some surveying over the years. Time, money, and relationships. Those are three of the top pressures or stressors that I see really causing a lot of havoc in people's lives. So today I want to focus on time because I have a lot of people who say to me, there's just never enough time. I don't have enough time. And one of the benefits of using the pressure-free method and starting to notice how we're actually spending our time, especially our thoughts, like how much time we're taking up with certain thoughts. It's really incredible how much time we waste if time is an issue for you. Sometimes people will say to me, I either have too much time on my hands or not enough time on my hands, depending on the situation. It's kind of like that hurry up to the airport and then your plane is delayed and now you have a 4 hour wait. So time can press us in a number of ways. Here's what I've noticed will take up brain space or take up time with our thoughts. And that's the thing that's really our biggest time suck and energy suck. So sometimes we'll say, people are sucking our energy from us. But let's really take a look at what our thoughts are doing because every thought we have affects every cell of our body. It affects our very DNA. So if your thought is expansive and open and moving you toward what you really want in life, that's very different than if your thought is tight and tense and closing. The tense thoughts, the tight thoughts actually affect your very DNA. It's pretty wild when you get into epigenetics and see scientifically what's going on. I was really blown away. I thought, oh my gosh, now how do we protect ourselves? What's going on here? First, I want to talk about what's sucking up the time. I've come up with a few things, and I teach us in the third session of my course with my clients because what I've noticed is first we have to gain some traction in using the pressure-free method, and then we can get into this a little more deeply. So here are the things I see: worrying. So anytime you start worrying or someone else is worrying and you're getting kind of brought into starting to worry about it too, could be the smallest of worries. But if you notice how much time in your day is taken up with these worries, it's pretty interesting. And you'll also notice with all of these things that a lot of it is habitual. We worry about the same things over and over and over again, rarely getting to solution, but just they're circulating in our minds. They're looping. Some people call that looping, like we just keep looping about the same worries. And once we're in fight or flight, the worries will pile on. So for me, living in our old house, I loved our old house so much. I had two of my friends actually cry when we moved because it was a crazy house, okay? Like crazy, crazy stuff. But I would start worrying about one thing in the house, and then it would just pile on. Like I'd worry, like, oh my gosh, we need to replace something in the house. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, we really need to fix that area of the roof. And we need to trim the back trees. And I mean, we had a little orchard. It was an amazing house right in the middle of the city, but there was so much work to it. And so I'd just be piling on these worries. Have you ever done that? Like it's so insidious. So worrying is the first one I want to bring forward. Next, complaining. So complaining is definitely a tight energy. It's also contagious, like the water cooling complaining. If you're in an office and you meet up with someone and they're complaining about someone or something going on in the organization, now you'll have two people doing it. And it will just grow from there. So if someone starts a complaint, it's very easy for others to jump on the bandwagon. And that just takes up even more of your time. So if you can notice when you're first starting to complain about something, that's a moment to use a pressure-free tool. So we got worrying, complaining. The next one is blaming or shaming, like finger pointing or accusing. My new client that I was just working with, I was talking about blaming, and she goes, "Oh, I think of that as accusing someone of something." I thought, "Oh, that's good." So anytime we're finger pointing someone else or to ourselves, that can take up a ton of time. And it can be about the most silliest things. But here's something to keep in mind. Once we're triggered in fight or flight, our brain is not thinking full with all of its parts, okay, cognitively, but there's a part of our brain that is very active and it's trying to justify and rationalize what is going on, why we feel what we feel. That's why you'll feel very justified to be angry. Like, I have every reason in the world to be angry in this moment, right? This kind of rise in you that believes you have the right to be angry or annoyed or even anxious or afraid. Like, you'll be justifying it. And that's because that area of the brain is just so active, and because we want to be able to keep protecting ourselves and keep in fight or flight until the threat is gone. Biologically, we need to protect ourselves. So that can be kind of sneaky. So if you see finger pointing going on, accusing, blaming, shaming, that's going to be a time suck. That's going to take up time and energy from you. The next is judging. So not judging in a positive way. We're constantly making small judgments to make decisions in our day, but I'm talking about the judgments that are like kind of catty or really unprofessional. If you are you know, judging someone for their hair or their clothes or the way they walk or talk or, all that kind of judging, which leads to the next one, which is comparing yourself. So if you have some comparisitis going on, you feel like you're not good enough, you'll never be good enough, you'll always be behind the eight ball, always not be as accomplished as you want to be because you're comparing yourself to others, or you see people taking vacations on social media and you're like jealous of all of that. If you feel jealousy, comparing, and judging fits in that area too. Those will all just take up so much of our time. So watching for those. The last one is struggling. So with struggling, oh, actually, there's one more I forgot, meddling. Let's do meddling first. So meddling is when we're inserting or interjecting ourselves where we're not really needed. If you're a leader or manager and you're micromanaging, that's an example of meddling. For me, raising a family of three boys, this was me at the breakfast table every morning. We'd all be sitting around the table, and I'd be like, "Okay, so remember, Dad's taking you to hockey, and did you wash your baseball gear? And I'll be at the game late because I'm coaching track." Like, just telling everybody what they were doing. Okay. Now, behind my head was a color-coded calendar, and for the boys who couldn't drive, the parent color underlined who was taking them. I mean, it was pretty organized, okay? They can all read. The 10-year-old can read just as well as the teenagers. It's like, why am I just like the cruise director? Here's what's on the agenda today. They can read. So I started to zip my lips. This is a tool you can use for any of these, by the way. Like zip your mind or zip your lips and just get quiet for a moment. Do you really need to be spinning in this way right now? That was super helpful for my meddling. And by the way, our family worked so much better when I just got quiet about all that and just assumed people would take responsibility for where they needed to be, when, and with whom. It was fabulous. So, so I got quiet, everything starts to work better. And I start worrying about it too. There was a worry aspect to it that was kind of spreading to my kids. So I just got rid of all that, which was just amazing. Couldn't have done it if I wasn't staying pressure free, but by not releasing those hormones, my brain started to think differently. So, last one, struggling. So, your effort's going great, but all of a sudden you hit the wall. So, everything's moving great, and then you feel this resistance, you feel this pushback. If you're feeling pushback, there are some deeper reasons for it that, if you come into my program, I can go really deep with you on this one because it really does affect a lot of people. Decision fatigue is involved in this. So struggling. if you can notice that beginning struggling point, the tool that I use here, and I use this for my athletes too, if they're starting to hit the wall, is to simply smile. So when you smile and release those neuropeptides, your brain can keep thinking cognitively. It's not going to go in the fear brain that says, oh no, I can't do this. It's going to stay functioning to find the ways for you to execute smoothly and easily, especially if you ask your brain to do that. You could say, how can I finish this project easily? How can I finish this race strong? Whatever works for you, whatever it is you're trying to create. So I just had a client who actually admitted they didn't believe that this time thing would start to happen, like time would open up, productive time. But if you go on my website, you'll see people talk about it. And like I've had people gain 4 hours of productive time in their day, 3 hours of productive time. For me, at first, it was like an hour and a half to 2 hours when I was kind of tracking it. That opened up for me. And that means time where I felt energized at the end of the day instead of just wanting to flop on the sofa and just disappear. But I was genuinely able to do more. I had one client gained 3 hours of productive time. This person owns two businesses, is an amazing artist all over the country, and yet now has that extra time at night of productive time. So if time is an issue, it's usually because we're caught in patterns that are taking our time. It's not the work we're doing so much as it is these habits of mind. That's what we need to clean up. And and I love that work. I love it so much because people start doing things that they dust off dreams. Like I've had people go into doing some art and doing some different um physical activities, things they never had time for before, time with their family, time having fun because they have the energy to do what they want to be able to do. So that's what I have for you today. This idea that if you're saying to yourself, I don't have enough time, you're probably caught in the stress cycle, number one. And number two, there's probably one of these things that I mentioned today, the worrying, the complaining, the blaming, shaming, the meddling, the judging, the comparing, and the struggling that's taking up your time. And when we can reduce that, and not trigger the stress hormones, like if we can do those two things, you're just going to find that you have so much more energy, so much more time. You sleep really well, like all the things that we want, all the things that to me should be absolutely natural in this life that we have. But we've become a society of stress addicts, to be honest. We're adrenaline dopamine addicts. And so because dopamine releases with that first flood of hormones, we're literally addicted to the drama. We're addicted to the complaining. We feel camaraderie when we're complaining with others at work. It's us against the bosses kind of thing, and or the leaders complaining about the workers. Like it's really interesting to take a step back and notice, wow, I'm spending a lot of time worrying about that thing, and then I'm piling on. So I hope this has been helpful. I wish you a great pressure-free day. Bye.